Oh, sorry about that, but you know when it's like the first proper cuppa that you've had all day. Right, this week is a basic video on how to adjust the chain. Now, I had this request on the channel. Somebody contacted me and said, Toni, could you please do a video on how to adjust the chain? So I thought, do you know what? Some of us might think it's a basic thing. And I think, do you know what? Let's not assume that everybody knows how to do this stuff. So before we get down to the nitty gritty and start actually doing the work, I'll just talk a little bit about the general rider maintenance. Now, if you go to your owner's manual in your motorbike handbook, it will have a little bit in there about general maintenance that you as the rider should be sort of looking for and monitoring on the bike. And they'll just be things like tyre pressures, tyre tread, your oil and fluid levels, and again it will be the chain adjustment. And it will tell you what the slack should be for your particular bike, and it will give you a little thing in there about how to do it, how to sort of adjust it on your bike. Now we're going to today look at adjusting it on the Triumph Street Twin, and I'll just show you how to do that, but bear in mind your own manual might have slightly little different things for your particular bike. But without further ado, let's roll the B-roll. Right, so first off we're going to look how to clean it. Now I clean mine, and it recommends in the owner's manual, and the Triumph owner's manual, that you clean your chain about every 200 miles. So I do mine like once a week type thing, clean and adjust. So to clean it, what I do first is I do stick it on the centre stand. You don't necessarily have to stick it on a centre stand or on a pivot, but it's just easier that when you are going to clean it, you've got the ability to just freely spin the wheel. Usually if I don't put it on the stand, or if I'm doing my other bike which hasn't got a centre stand, I'll roll the bike forwards and backwards. So yeah, if you have got a centre stand, stick it on that first, and then that'll enable you to get started, and it's a lot easier. So I like to use this GT85 or WD-40, anything like that. It's a lubricant with a PTFE in it. It dissolves the grease, it gets rid of all the dirt and grime that you can see on here. And also, as it's a lubricant, it's not doing it any harm. So, and obviously there's a nice little picture of a motorbike there, which means you can use it on bikes. The good thing about these are they've got nozzles on them, little straws, or they've got a little bit on the top which helps you direct the spray. Give the can a little shake, direct the nozzle to the chain, and just give it a little spray and try and get it all in over the entire thing. It's fully lubricated. I also like to sort of do the front side like that as best I can on the front of the links, and I also like to sort of do it on the rear as best I can as well. So getting the chain all the way up the back. You want to make sure you don't get this anywhere near your brakes, because once you do that you're going to contaminate the brakes with this, because it is like an oil. It's got an oily consistency to it. So the good thing about these little nozzles are that you can direct the spray. So I stick a pair of gloves on because this is a messy job. Let this penetrate and get into the all the nooks and crannies, and start to disintegrate that grease that's already on the chain, that old wax, all that grit and dirt. First stage is I wipe mine down with an old cloth first, well, a cloth, just to remove the outer grease, the most excess sort of part of it, and then I'll show you step two. So cloth, stage one. Stage one, just get the cloth, put it round the links, give it a good old wipe, getting into all of them sort of rollers on the back there. Just take the first layer off, just give the wheel a spin. Like I said, if you don't have it on a paddock stand, or you don't have it the wheel raised so you can freely spin it, You can always roll the bike backwards and forwards and do it manually if you don't have that. I like to give the rear sprocket a good old clean, and also getting that side of the rear sprocket where the chain is not on the teeth. I like to give that a good old wipe as well, because you find that you get some bits in there. But be careful you don't get your fingers caught in the chain as you turn the wheel. Fully wiped down stage 1. I'm going to give it another little spray. I'm going to go in with a toothbrush now, just get any of the little bits that might be stuck in there. So now just take a clean toothbrush and I go along in all of these bits, front side, back side, in the middle, just like brushing your teeth, all the edges, all the way around, in between, all the nooks and crannies, to get everything out. You can see, just getting any little bits, see it's sort of getting dirty looking. Gone over it all again with the toothbrush now. Give it a wipe down with the original cloth, just to take off that excess again. And then we're going to give it another spray. Final spray all the way around, just to let that penetrate any last bits of dirt out best we can. Okay, so I've let that penetrate again, the last little layer, last spray, for a few minutes, and now I'll take my cloth, a clean cloth this time, and now I'm wiping any remnants of the spray and any little bits of grease it's managed to dissolve off the chain and the sprocket. In between the rollers on each side of the links, just really sort of giving it a good old clean. Now, as you can see, that is the second cloth that I've used to wipe the chain down, and that looks pretty clean, so that's when you sort of know you've done a fairly good enough job. The little black spots, so don't forget you've got oil from the WD-40 or the GT85 in my case, you know, little remnants coming off, but that cloth's fairly clean, I would say, so you know it's, and also just by looking at the chain you can see it's looking nice and sparkly. That's when you're ready to now apply the wax or the lubricant. So this is something that I've sort of come across. It's a Puterline, made by Puterline motorcycle oils, and it's a synthetic racing chain lube, and it's basically, it's almost clear. And the reason I was looking for something that was clear is obviously because I spent a lot of time and effort and money on a bloody gold chain with a black sprocket, and a lot of these waxes that you find for chains sort of dry white, or they, you know, and you get that, so then it's a bit like, well, what's the point in having a gold chain if you're just going to cover it up with a load of white? So I managed to find this, and it dries pretty clear, and the good thing about it is it's got this non-fling formula, so it actually sticks to the chain and it doesn't flick off. But it's got this handy little flick out nozzle, which again helps you direct the lube. And what you want to do is you want to get it down the centre and on the front and the backs of the links as best you can, but you want to avoid sort of spraying anywhere else. So like I said, all angles of the chain, just like when you're brushing your teeth really, all sides of the teeth. So that's the chain cleaned and sprayed with the clear wax, this stuff. So it's called DX11 chain spray, if anyone's interested in that particular brand of wax. And like I said, it's a non-fling formula. It dries pretty clear, and it says it is for on and off-road use as well, so I think it should be pretty good at not picking up additional road grit and dirt. There's a really good video by 49, and they do a whole sort of road test on chains and lubes and different sort of formulas and how they react with different road conditions. So if you want to look at that video, I'll put a link in the description. You can go and check them guys out, because that's really good, that video. But anyway, this is the chain, all clean, all done. Right, chain adjustment. So this is how I do it. So you're going to need to loosen the main spindle bolt and these bolts. Now this is the locking nut and this is the adjuster nut. This adjuster nut, what it does is you can adjust it either in or out, and what that does is when you do them both together on either side is pull the back wheel backwards, making the chain tighter, or let it slide forwards, making the chain slacker. So first things first, bike's on its side stand. For me, I loosen the centre spindle, the rear wheel spindle bolt with this 27mm socket. So you want to get that on there and use your breaker bar to break the tension of the nut. You want to loosen it off till it's nice and slack. That'll do. So on my bike, the locking nut is 13mm and the adjuster nut is 12mm. So the first thing you want to do is release the locking nut just a bit. So that allows that bolt to move freely now. Okay, just going to give it a little bit of room to move, and you're going to do the same on the other side. Right, so when you're checking the slack on the bike, on the chain, you want to check it sort of in the slackest part, which will be between the two cogs, which is probably about here. If you imagine the front sprocket's there, the rear sprocket's there, the main slack is going to be in the middle here. And the way to check it, the way that I do it, is put a tape measure against the swing arm, see where it's at. So mine's on 55 at the slackest point, so from there to there is 55. So if my slack should be between 20 and 30mm, so I don't really want it going any lower than 30mm. We're just under it a bit there. I'm going down to 20, so we're going to adjust that slightly. Right, so actually adjusting the chain, we're going to use the spanner to pull the rear wheel back, and you need to do that in equal quantities because you want the wheel to come back straight. You don't want one to be off more than the other. So both of these adjustments have to be exactly the same on either side of the bike. Now you can count the amount of turns and stuff like that, but this is the way I do it. Usually you'll have markers on the rear swing arm to sort of show you, but the way I sort of try and get the most accurate reading, or the most accurate result, is I'll turn the adjuster out slightly, so I'll give that one and a little bit. I'll do the same on the other side, but what I like to do to check is I will put a tape measure from where the locking nut goes to where this spacer is, this big metal chunk is here, and I can see that that is on 3.7 centimetres. So what I'll do is I'll check on the other side that I've got a 3.7 centimetre gap, so that I know those bolts, which are the same on both sides, are exactly the same length. So then the wheel should be running true and straight, because that adjustment is straight on both sides, the exact same measurement. Right, now I know that I've got 3.5 from this locking nut to this spacer here. I know that I've got 3.5 centimetres on both sides exactly. I'm going to put my 12mm spanner on this and I'm going to hold it in this position tight. This one's not going to move, because what happens is sometimes when you go to lock the locking nut, you actually twist the whole bolt and it moves it in slightly, and you don't want to move that about now. This is the position you want. So you put your 12mm on and hold it in that position, and now I'll get my 13mm on the locking nut, and I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to move this one. This one's going to stay as tight as I can while I'm tightening that. So let's turn, and that's tight now, and we're going to do the same on the other side. So now it's all tightened up, I just want to give it a final check, just to check it ain't moved while I was doing it. So put it up against the swing arm, see where the measurement is on the chain, and then do that with a slack. And as long as it's not moving anywhere outside the 20 to 30mm, it's all done. So I can see here it looks like it's on 50 and it's going up to 30, so that's 20mm for me. So I hope you found that video helpful. Hope I didn't waffle on too much. I know I love a bit of that. I hope it's giving you confidence to go out and maybe check the chain, and if it needs adjusting, to go out and do that yourself. Subscribe to the channel, there's always more videos coming up. If there's something specific you want to see, maybe drop it in the comments and I'll have a look and see if it's something I think I can tackle myself, help you out on. There's always more videos coming up, so don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you all soon. And don't forget, check out the Let Us Live website.